Hey, Gear Geeks! We are looking at an IronMan 2, which is a 100-watt power attenuator, opposed to the IronMan 1, which was a lower watt, meaning it handles lower watt amplifiers, than this 100-watt one does. Toneking, the manufacturer, only makes up to 100 watt. There are other manufacturers that make up more. They go up to a higher wattage. And I don't think too many of them have different attenuators. So the reason why I'm doing this is do a quick unboxing and throw my 2 cents into this. First of all, where it comes from, and then they ship it to, Kansas City, Missouri. And so anyways, so they send it from Maywood at the 90270, which is just one last digit off from my zip code. So this comes from 12 miles away, goes all the way to Missouri, and then I buy it and fly it all the way here, back to home. So there's the box. And as you can see right there, I've already opened it. And you could think to yourself, what are we doing here? Well, not really an unboxing. Let me show you. First of all, the quality of the box is not a thin box that you find. Stuffing is real stuffing. Thick paper. They give you a warranty card and a box for a foot pedal, which is somewhere. Oh, is right here. This foot pedal is made out of metal. I'm made of metal. I would say the only thing not too good about this, I had to write what it is on it. Otherwise, it just would go into oblivion. The box was, stapled with the old style copper metal clips. I mean, really killer quality in just the packing alone quality. So they give you a huge foot switch, and you got to think to yourself, what do I need a foot switch for? Amp attenuator. And I'll get to that in a second. That's kind of the reason why I wanted to do this video. So I've never had to buy an attenuator for amps. And I've owned some amps for a while. And it wasn't until I received this 30-watt Wang's Soldano circuited style SLO. 30 watts. And I could not control it to get it to its sweet spot. And the thing about amplifiers that people don't really talk too much about is there's sweet spots in the amps. The more expensive and quality amps generally give you more sweet spots. But some amps, I'm not going to name them, but they have a tendency of, really got to do a lot of dialing to get the tone. This SLO high gain thing up here, the Wang's, where's my finger? There, that one. It tended to have a sweet spot for the high gain, and I could not keep it there. I started with the 412, 212, ended up with the 112, and it still was a little out of the... it was louder than I normally go. So that wasn't going to make it. So I had to go attenuator. Now, this is 100 watt. Other companies, Riviera, Marshall had the break. I mean, there's lots of different ones. I'm not saying this is the best. I bought this one. I like some of its features. So I wanted to say, the way the attenuator works, it just takes all the power of the amplifier before it gets to the speaker and allows you to dumb down the speaker. And it has switches that I'll show you that allow you to really do some cool stuff. Okay, one of my complaints, I'll tell you right off the bat, there's no on and off switch. So if you power this thing on into power, it turns on. So it's not really doing anything, but the fact that there's no on and off switch is not. So they do give you a e-manual, and it's really nice. It does have instructions of the product itself. I'm going to explain something real quick with this thing. I can't stress enough that I've never needed one of these with my 100-watt amps, and I do own a 120-watt amp, so this is not going to work for it. But I've never had problems with my bigger, expensive amplifications. These smaller amps usually have a little bit more of a sweet spot that you dial that sweet spot, and you could take this attenuator and absorb the power in it before it gets to a speaker, so you can have a smaller speaker and less volume coming out and still get the tone. So, and that's what these things do. But so you can, if your amplifier only does a couple of these and not all three of them, you can make it different with this. So if you have an amplifier that only goes 8 or 16 and you have a 4 ohm cabinet, that works. You have a line out to another, to another head or to a soundboard. So that's really cool. So if you're playing somewhere, you could soundboard out to that. And if you do the DI output to the soundboard, which is better, you have the effect of changing where it mimics the microphone location on the speaker, on the edge of the speaker, on the cone, which creates a darker or tinnier tone depending on what you're looking for. Has a level cut, so if it's too much, you can cut it. It's notched, like everything in this, it's all notched. There's no variable anything. Here's the foot switch input, and I'll show you what it's for. What do you need a foot switch for an attenuator? There's no on and off. And then the power. This thing can be a little confusing, not to operate, but to kind of operate as best as you would like it to. You would want to be able to. I would say the manual is a little confusing, but the information's there. Once you figure out what the information is, you go, oh, okay, that's what they're trying to get at. But I'll tell you, it's frustrating for me. I mean, as a person who's had to whip out manuals or go to online sites to get instructions how to do things, it could be very frustrating how these companies leave you up in the air. You're watching YouTube videos while people are going, you got it in, dialed in yet? Or I'm like watching this video. So as you use this thing, you can see that it'll give you it gives you a presence cut, because the more you tend to attenuate, you have a tendency to get to your speaker sometimes more presence than you had in the original signal. And the company Toneking knows this, so they put the switch here. I've noticed it. At one point when I was going super, super loud, I got myself all the way to 6 dB, and I was thinking, would I need more? No, it was fine. I was really cranked at the time. I've used this on 100-watt amp, which I didn't need to, but I find that 100-watt amps don't sound good at 8. They sound good at 6 and lower. A lot of times 3.5, 4, for the most part. So anyway, they have a very confusing way this works. So yes, you have presence. Forget about this. Yes, you have a solo on and off and a low range, low and high. But so what they're meaning is you have, and you really can't see the word low, high, solo. So what they're saying is in solo mode, it's off or on. If you're on solo mode, then this outer ring is implemented, and it starts in 0. So this actually is considered its bypass mode, not off. And they don't call it bypass. They even say it in the instruction manual. But this is as close to bypass as you're going to get. And then as you go from here, it's 4, 6 or 8, 12, 22, etc. And they're notched, okay? And they overlap. So you notice this is on the outer ring solo. It starts in 0, 4, 8. But if you're in the high ring, you can go to 7 because it's notched. Okay, so there is no 6. There is no 5. Oh, there is a 6 down there. Okay, there's no 5. Nevertheless, it doesn't matter. I find I used 3 or 4 different amps, and I was finding what I needed. And sometimes didn't have to move the knob because if I toggled between being in the solo mode of on and then going off, I'm instantly in high realm, and it's 7. So if I was in 4, I just down to 7. And then if I went from high to low, it would be, that's 10. So that kind of works good. You could be in one area and then just by flipping these, that does that. So what does solo do? So what solo does is the solo button, and that's where it gets confusing. It's like, why do they do this? Why couldn't it just be 1, 2, and 3? 1, 2, and 3. Because it really isn't high, low, and solo. What it is these things are overlapping. And they even show it in the manual, which each notched attenuate does. And this is heavy, by the way. It goes to show you how good this box is, huh? Look. Because it's holding that, I don't know, 40-pound, 30-pound filled with copper. Copper coils taking the power. So makes it really interesting. So you can go, so that's how this works. So if you go with the solo switch and you hit it, what it does is it gives you a bump from where you were to less attenuate and allows you to play in solo, meaning it gets a little loud and allows you to, because it has a less attenuate, allows you to get a little louder and for a solo for the stage or whatever you're doing. So that's kind of a cool little trick if you don't want to actually use your amplifier and you just want to use this thing, but it's another foot switch, so whatever. I don't like there's no on and off foot switch. I don't like this setup. This is great that it's notched. I understand they had to overlap. That's why they should just said A, B, C. And I'll tell you, this is very well done. Extremely, very quality. The knob, everything's quality. But you could see right here, there's a little movement in that. So if you're not just going straight up and straight down, these things push, and they all do that. They're all the same knobs. They have they're quality up and down. But if you push on them a little bit, you can feel, oh man, that's not good. Allen wrench screws. I mean, really nicely done. And if you go the DI out, so you have an amp coming in, right, to this thing, amplifier and input. You do not need the speaker output if you go into full attenuate mode. So here is your out, right? And you can play with your out to get a good tone. I did want to say that their direct output in their manual here on the XLR says that they compare their circuit to some of the most intricate IR-based computer tones out there. So they're really highlighting what they're able to do with their output on this thing. So right here, this is what they call in dummy mode, dummy load. God, I'm the dummy mode. Dummy load mode. So it is in its lowest. So let me move this, which sucks. In 38, which is in low. So solo's off. It's in low, 38. So in that mode, in this mode, I can not have to have output to a speaker. Can have a amp built straight into it and not have to have a speaker and use the DI out and the board out, um, and this generates the tone, right? The exact same tone that you would want through the speaker. Isn't that cool? So this is really awesome. I find it odd that I've had to use it only on the smaller amps as opposed to some of the bigger amps. But I find, especially with these lunchbox style amps, 15 watt, 30 watt, that they have just a few sweet spots when you're trying to get gain out of them. The IronMan 1, which is a lower wattage capable amp attenuator, was like $500, and this one was close to $900. But they do, like I said, they have a really good brochure here. Really allows you to go through the attenuator and understand what you're doing. I like it. I did have to use the presence switch. I did find it to become needed. I would like to be able to buy something that they built right down the street from my house, but they would rather ship it all the way to another state, halfway to New York, just to ship it back. I've done that with Roland instruments, Yamaha instruments. It's crazy. So, anyways, Gear Geeks, I wanted to go over that because I found it really cool, usable, and I never thought, other than for out of control amp head, that I would need this, or I would have bought it earlier. Shoot, but this is not too old, within a few years, and this model, and has some really good, and the other ones do as well. There's other. This is the one I bought. So there we go, Gear Geeks. Take care. Have a good day. All right.